Soul. Before You Kill Us All, Randy Travis. That song was #1 for us in 1994. And wrote that with Keith Follesay. Keith is a well-known songwriter, wrote a bunch of hits, Grammy nominee. Keith wrote I Love You for Martina McBride, Smile for Faith Hill, and Tim McGraw hits. I mean, had a bunch of stuff. And Keith is he's from California, and when he moved here, he got to know my folks and introduced him to me, and he and I wrote a bunch of stuff. But this one particular day, he came out to my house, and we live in an old schoolhouse that we renovated, and it just has taken us forever because it's an old schoolhouse. It was funky and weathered, and we were doing a lot of work on it. And that day, he and I both live in Hendersonville, which is outside of Nashville. And if we can save that drive into Nashville, it's good for everybody. So he lived in Hendersonville, and so did I. So that day he came over to my house, and which is under construction a lot back then, and we sat down and just started writing something. And part of what I think went into making that song neat is because that day that he come out, there was a guy here refinishing the floors, and there's hardwood floors in this old schoolhouse. And that old guy was just going back and forth with that grinder, man, and it just made this huge sound. It was just like this giant grinding sound, you know, just loud as all get out. And the house is all open, one kind of big open space, and so there was no escaping it. So if we was going to write a song, we was going to write a song with the floor grinder going. And there wasn't no hiding it. So we sat down there and we grabbed guitars, and he's a groove player like me, and we just was we were yelling because this grinder's going, you know. So to even hear each other, we're having to yell, you know. So we're going, must be doing something wrong, baby, I don't know. And we're just going at it. And I really think that's what brought the energy out in that song. And the song is, we wrote it in A because that's like a guitar key, you know, that. And it grooves like that. So we wrote it in A, and then when we went in the studio, Randy Travis, a little bit of a lower singer, so he needed to do it in A. So the guitar players were doing something like a something like that, come up with a Pretty Woman kind of lick. And I really thought we had to agree with this. I really thought we had a groove lick going there, so I happened to be in the studio that day. It's at Nightingale recording with Kyle Lenning produced it, and he invited me to come down the day they cut that record. And I remember sitting on the couch there in the control room, and I said, I don't think that lick's just what we had on the demo. And Kyle said, go in there and tell them what the lick is. I said, really? He goes, yeah, go in there. So I want to say, I think there was two acoustic players on that session that day, and I went in there and kind of showed them an A, and they just kind of transposed it in the E, and it just worked great. So the lick made the record, and that was really cool. But back to the songwriting part. That day that we hammered that out, part of the words in the second verse, it says, the way the plants are dying, you'd swear it's fall. It looks just like autumn up and down the hall. And the funny thing about that is, we wrote it here at my place, and the winter before, we probably had probably 50 houseplants here. And you know, I told you we live in an old schoolhouse. It's all completed, and it turned out real nice. But back then, the heat wasn't quite working right, and it was just all a little funky. It was kind of under construction, so we lost. My wife spent years cultivating those plants, and she worked for a tropical plant company at that time, and we had a bunch of plants here at the house, and they were just gorgeous. But that winter, because of the funky heat, it got too cold and it killed all of them. So it killed all those plants, and so there's, they didn't all die at once, but you just walk around the house and this one's looking pretty bad and that one's giving up the leaves, and so it was just, when we sitting there writing the song, it just kind of was what I was looking at. I was seeing like, this plant's probably not going to make it, and it's kind of like in my view, so that's kind of how that made it into the song. And then the part about the, how many things can you kill, so we had but the cat had 9 lives, so he really didn't have to die, so it all worked out pretty well, and that was the #1 hit for us. I got a plaque here from the CMA that year in '94. It says, "Before You Kill Us All, #1 song." Let's take a good look at it. It's kind of neat. CMA does nice things like that for you. Country Music Association. That was neat. And that song went to #1, and when I hear it come on the radio, I love to hear that big old guitar go bar dow 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 dow. It's neat. Some good memories. So that's a story about Before You Kill Us All by Randy Travis.